Congratulations on your book.
Thank you, Uzo, and thank you so much for joining me live. Not everybody feels comfortable to just get up in front of the camera, so I appreciate that.
I am super comfortable because I know you are knowledgeable and you know what you're talking about. So if I don't know what to say, I know you'll fill it in for me. So I'm comfortable.
Oh no, I was counting on you to do the same thing for me. Uh-oh.
That's interdependence. We're gonna figure out a way to work on this together then.
Yes, that sounds great. So, yeah. Uzo, I know that you obviously work with a lot of doctors, right? So for people who are maybe, just tuning in to check out Uzochukwu Chima here, who is here to celebrate my book launch with me. And Uzo, your support of my book actually means quite a lot because I know that you interface with a lot of doctors through your company. So if maybe you could take a moment to explain about that, I think that would put our relationship into context.
Oh, great. Fully. So just a real quick summary of why I even got into it. I have an investment banking background. I worked for Morgan Stanley for some time, as you know, and that's why I'm so attracted to what you do. Your book and your work it's go. It's go. You're always working, and my son fell sick while I was in that mode, and I had to figure out a way to find some balance, still stay productive. A lot of things were happening. So what I decided to do to help him, because it was really serious, was to find doctors, find the right mental health care doctors, find the right primary care physicians. And it's not as easy as you would think, because not everyone that has a degree knows what they're really doing. And also spending the time with people can be difficult, especially in the current healthcare system we have. So Kaigo is our mission is to make it easier for people around the world to access the right physician, access the right information. So that something like a book is such a good idea because you can't split yourself into a million pieces, but you can share your book, you could spread the word, you can give some tips. So we continue to expand to not only involve connecting people to the doctors, but it's a huge educational component to what Kaigo does now is to find out a way as all these topics people want to talk about, but they may not always get the doctor, but at least can get this video, they can get your book, they can get things that will help them address a workshop of things that could help them address their need, and then ultimately they can still find a doctor. So that's what we did, and we've grown really fast over the last few years. And you are one of the first people I met when I was out there in New York. Coming to finding doctors, and it's not really a surprise that we always pick you and gravitate to you when we want to get the best psychologists involved.
Well, thanks, Uzo. Yeah, I love what you've been doing with your platform as far as trying to make healthcare more accessible for people. And obviously, I have to be careful to specify that my book is not psychotherapy. It's not a replacement for psychotherapy. It's a book, but it is a book that shares what I know about cognitive behavioral therapy. And it has just, it's more than just cognitive behavioral therapy, though, because as a former yoga teacher, I'm also kind of bringing that meditation, overall wellness, even just coming from a strengths perspective, as opposed to, a pathology perspective. And it's so wonderful to be able to have put this in a book and just have it out there available for people, because I know that I'm not going to always be available to teach these things one-to-one to people. In fact, I actually went on sabbatical even from accepting private clients at all. So to be able to have a book that just literally spells it out for people, here's what to do, was helpful for me. But what I also put in the book, Uzo, that I think is fun, and I'm really excited, one day when you have the chance and we can reconnect more together in person, is I got to share stories about how I use the techniques on myself, like to deal with my own anxiety, because I think a lot of times people imagine like, oh, well, she's a therapist, like
Right.
she must not have anxiety,
Right.
whereas honestly, I think part of the reason, not all of it, but part of the reason I got into psychology was because I really wanted to know and study and learn about other people's minds, but also about my own mind so that I could frankly deal with my own issues, not the only reason, but certainly part of it. And so to be able to share about the techniques and also some of the more private stories from my own life, and also some stories about, clinical illustrations. Obviously, they are anonymized, so, no clients are, going to be like exposed or anything. That would be like the worst book ever, right? But it's really, I remove all the identifying details and just share the stories about how people make real changes, because I think that's what's exciting for people, is to know they don't have to spend necessarily years and years and years in therapy. They don't even necessarily really have to go at all, potentially, if they want to read a book. But what's fun too is some people are giving the book to their therapist. I've actually talked to several people who did that. And I think it is such a cool idea to be able to say, I read a book, it has some techniques that work for me. Dear therapist, would you check this out and see if it's something that you think we could work on together?
Yeah.
I'm actually speaking to 600 therapists tomorrow, and I'm going to be sharing the book with them, and super excited to just spread the word.
You hit the nail on the head here. And this is why I have a lot of respect for you and what you do. Is a good therapist or a doctor, or anyone that's really trying to help someone, is going to find ways to help that person become independent, right? You don't want that person to come to you forever, right? You're trying to do things, teach them in a way that they can move on and feel proud that you help them. And I think, this is why, again, things like this book, it's not, I 100% realize it's not therapy. It's not personalized, but there are things that go on and on. Not only do we have all these doctors that I've worked with, I've had a chance to meet the communities of patients and clients. And one thing I've found is these patterns are consistent. So if you can recognize something in yourself, especially, right, it's easier to share it with someone else. And it's a really good chance that they could find something in that experience that they can apply to themselves. And I think, that's where I think, going back to even trying to find ways that people don't have to sit down in front of you. Picking up a book like this can really go a long way, because even if it's one thing they take from it, it probably can have a very big impact. So the 600 psychologists you're going to talk to should be excited, because if they can take one thing to help their patients, then I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share that with 600 psychologists tomorrow for sure. But like you had a good point too, Uzo, which is that really the goal of a therapist really should be to make themselves obsolete, right? Like, so to no longer be needed.
Yes.
But that said, one of the things that I think is also important is the aspect of community. So even though, we might not, need to talk to a therapist, perhaps, all the time, even though we can. I mean, I talk to my therapist every week, so I'm certainly, for that. But there's also another type of community. And I know you're working on building community as well. And I'm working on building like master classes and things with anxiety, with the techniques in this book, because I do think there's something so powerful about actually not hearing it from a therapist, but actually hearing it from a peer that maybe read the book, that tried the techniques, and is going to share their experience with you. That is so healing for people.
That is so powerful. And, like you said, we're building, Kaigo has become this really growing community, people from around the world. And what's so interesting is, you have someone from Morocco or Egypt or London that is explaining things in a way that it just connects with someone in New York. You don't have to be the same culture, the same background. So you literally can support someone from the other end of the world because you have the same shared experience. And that's probably been the most powerful thing there. And that's why we're also looking forward to having your book on Kaigo, sharing it with that community. There are definitely, if 5 or 6,000 people that I know would love to see that book. So look forward to that, and all the workshops and master classes you're doing. We would love to continue to help people see what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited for that as well, Uzo. So Uzo, I know you're a busy man. I won't keep you, but I wanted to thank you again for just appearing online here with me today. Thank you.
You've been waiting for this day for a while, so congrats. I hope it goes amazing. We'll be cheering for you, but also more importantly, we'll be helping you. So send me the links, send me everything we need to share, and we'll make sure to do it. All right?
I appreciate that, Uzo. I really do. You're the best. Thanks again.
Take care.
Bye-bye.